Dear Mr. President, we must balance the budget, which is vital to the prosperity of our great nation. But reducing our nation's defense is the best way to go about this. We can no longer afford these huge costs of war as we are broke. The death tolls have destroyed millions of families, of Americans and others around the world. And also our actions create blowback, which is the true cause of terrorism. We must use this opportunity to balancing the budget and raising the debt ceiling, and never raising the debt ceiling, as a bargaining chip with Congress to cut defense spending. The military-industrial complex never wants to cut the defense money. It's very difficult to cut the defense money. That's why we never talk about it in media. You know, it's like, oh, what do we cut? Nobody ever tells you to cut the defense spending. That's always off the table. But that's what the main thing that needs to get cut. Alright, so according to Obama's 2014 budget, the deficit will be brought down to $576 billion in the year 2015, which is a wonderful reduction of about $400 billion. However, we need to act on top of this to ensure the debt does not increase anymore. Thus, we cut the defense budget by $350 billion. This is cutting it about in half, which I feel is a good amount. I don't think it's too much or too little. This will send a signal to the entire world for them to reduce their defense budgets in half as well. Then in the future, when we feel safe, we can cut the defense budget in half again. So the steps, the steps are very important, but we need to do these cuts now, though. However, to neutralize the deficit by 2015, we need to slash another $226 billion. Thus, cut $40 billion from the Department of Agriculture by slashing the FSA, the FAS, the RMA, the CCC, and the FCIC. These are programs that subsidizes Type 2 corn to surpluses by guaranteeing purchases, setting price levels, and messing up the markets. This Type 2 corn is ingestible by humans. You know, they say Monsanto is going to feed the world by all their corn, but it's not supposed to be eaten by humans, so it's a way false propaganda. The corn can only be used for producing other things, like high fructose corn syrup, or feeding livestock. However, cows can't eat corn, unless they're always sick, and this poisons their meat, their milk, and even their manure. Next, cut the Department of Homeland Security, worth $56 billion, as they overly secure everything, reducing our freedoms. This department would be unconstitutional if not for the Patriot Act, which needs to be abolished as well. Also fold the United States Coast Guard, worth $9 billion, and the Secret Service, worth $1 billion, into the Department of Justice. Next, cut the Department of Education, worth $72 billion, to allow the states to escape this standardized testing. The standardization restricts the teacher's ability to connect with the children and really make a difference in their lives. The schools need to be allowed to experiment with teaching techniques to create competition and markets. Race to the Top funds the already rich schools and has done nothing for the poor schools. The entire department was created to assist the poor with education, and they are the only ones the system does not work for. Fourth, cut the National Intelligence Agency, aka the CIA, worth $53 billion. Most of the war propaganda comes from the CIA, even though they use illegal forms of obtaining intelligence. Torture does not work, because if one is tortured, they're going to make up stories to stop the torture. This appeasing to the CIA manufactures false intelligence that does more harm than good. We can no longer enter wars based on the context of false intelligence. And last, We cut $15 billion from the Department of Transportation by privatizing the ATO, the air traffic controllers, and the cost of the air traffic towers themselves do not need to be run by the government. Private companies can do this just fine. So, if we plan on paying off our debts, we need to stop the deficit first. This is how to go by. Thank you very much.